Commander Jake Harrison walked across the bridge of the UES Liberty. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor as he moved between the control stations. The ship hummed quietly around him, a sound he had grown used to after 3 years in deep space. Outside the big windows, stars dotted the black like tiny diamonds. "Sir, we're getting something strange on the communication channels," said Lieutenant Amy Foster. She sat at her station with headphones on, her fingers moving over the controls. Her face looked worried as she listened to whatever was coming through. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange, Lieutenant?" Amy pulled off her headphones and looked up at him. "It's a distress call, but not from any human ship. The signal is coming from the Calari system, about 3 days away from here." Jake knew about the Calari system. The report said it was home to a peaceful group of plant-like aliens who had never bothered anyone. They grew food instead of making weapons. They built art instead of warships. Most humans thought they were nice but boring. "Put it on the main speakers," Jake said. Amy pressed a button, and the bridge filled with a voice that sounded scared and desperate. The words came through clearly because the aliens had learned human language for trade. "Please, anyone who gets this message, we need help right now. The Vorthan Empire has attacked our world. They came with many ships and big guns. Our defenses are broken. Our people are dying. We are asking any space travelers who can hear this to please help us. We have never hurt anyone. We just want to live in peace." The voice stopped and then started again, saying the same words over and over. Jake felt his stomach tighten. He had heard about the Vorthans before. They were bad news. They liked to take over other worlds and make the people there into slaves. "How many ships do we have nearby?" Jake asked Lieutenant Commander Ryan Burke, who was in charge of keeping track of other human ships in the area. Ryan checked his computer screen. 17 ships, sir. We have 3 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, 5 frigates, and the big dreadnought Sovereign. Captain Lisa Stone is in charge of the Sovereign." Jake thought about it. 17 ships was not very many. The report said the Vorthans usually traveled with huge fleets. But the Calari were asking for help, and humans had always believed in helping people who could not help themselves. "Sir," said Amy, "the signal is getting weaker. I think their communication center might be under attack right now." Jake made up his mind quickly. "Send a message to all human ships in this area. Tell them we are going to help the Calari. Any ship that wants to come with us should meet at Jump Point 7 in 2 hours." Ryan looked worried. "Sir, are you sure?" "About this? We don't know how many Vorthan ships are there. It could be dangerous." Jake nodded. "I know it's dangerous, Ryan, but those people are dying right now while we talk about it. If we don't help them, who will?" 2 hours later, all 17 human ships were ready to go. Jake stood on his bridge and looked at the list of ships that had agreed to come. Captain Lisa Stone had sent a message saying the Sovereign was ready for battle. Commander Ben Rodriguez on the heavy cruiser used Defiance had volunteered his ship too. Even the smaller frigates had decided to help. "All ships report ready, sir," said Amy. Jake took a deep breath. "Send the jump coordinates to everyone. We're going to the Calari system." The trip through hyperspace took 18 hours. During that time, Jake read everything he could find about the Vorthans and the Calari. The information was not good. The Vorthans had a reputation for being cruel. They took over planets by attacking civilian targets first. They wanted people to surrender quickly so they would not damage things they wanted to steal. The Calari, on the other hand, had never fought a war in their history. They had small defense ships around their planet, but nothing that could stop a real military attack. Their whole society was built around growing things and making art. They probably did not even know how to fight back properly. "Coming out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, called out Navigation Officer Sam Carter. Jake gripped the arms of his command chair. "All stations, prepare for whatever we find out there." The stars stopped moving and suddenly they were in the Calari system. Jake looked at the main screen and felt angry at what he saw. The planet below was beautiful, covered in green and blue like Earth, but there were fires burning on the surface. Smoke clouds drifted up from what had been cities. "Sir, Counting enemy ships? Said Ryan, staring at his tactical display. Lots of enemy ships. How many? Jake asked. Ryan was quiet for a moment as he double-checked his numbers. Then he looked up with a pale face. 200 ships, sir. Maybe more. They have the planet surrounded. Jake felt his heart sink. 200 ships against 17. Those were terrible odds. But then he thought about the scared voice in the distress call and the fires burning on the planet below. Sir, we're getting a message from the Vorthen fleet, said Amy. Put it on screen. The face that appeared was reptilian and ugly, with sharp teeth and cold yellow eyes. The alien spoke with a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. Unknown. Human ships, you are now in Vorthen territory. Leave immediately or we will destroy you. You have 5 minutes to turn around and go home. Jake stood up and walked closer to the screen. This is Commander Jake Harrison of the United Earth Fleet. You are illegally attacking a peaceful world. Withdraw your forces now, and we will let you leave safely. The Vorthen Admiral laughed, a horrible sound that made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. 17 little ships against my great fleet? You humans must be very stupid. We know about your species. You are weak plant eaters from a safe little world. You have no idea what real war looks like. Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. You're about to find out how wrong you are about that. The alien cut off the communication, probably thinking the humans would run away now that they saw how outnumbered they were. But Jake was not planning to run away. He was planning to show these bullies what happened when they picked on innocent people in front of humans. All ships, this is Commander Harrison, he said into his communicator. Prepare for battle. We're going to teach these Vorthens a lesson they will never forget. Admiral Zekthar sat in his command chair on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the burning planet below. The Kaleri homeworld had been so easy to conquer that he felt almost disappointed. His warriors needed real battles to stay sharp, but these plant people had barely fought back at all. His tactical officer, a younger Vorthen with bright green scales, looked up from his station. Admiral, we have 17 ships coming toward us. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Zekthar turned his yellow eyes toward the tactical display. 17 small dots moved across the screen, heading straight for his fleet of 200 warships. What species are they? The computer says they are humans, sir, from a planet called Earth in the Sol system. Zekthar checked his personal database. Every Vorthen commander carried information about all known species in the galaxy. The entry for humans was short and not very impressive. Garden world dwellers, he read out loud. Peaceful omnivores who discovered space travel recently. Average technology level, no significant military threat. He laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. 17 ships of garden world farmers against the might of the Vorthen Empire? This will be amusing. The Vorthen fleet was truly impressive to look at. 200 sleek warships hung in space like deadly metal sharks. Each ship was painted in the dark red and black colors of the Empire. Their hulls were smooth and elegant, designed to look frightening to enemies. Plasma cannons stuck out from the sides like fangs ready to bite. Zekthar had used this fleet to conquer 12 different worlds. The sight of so many ships was usually enough to make most species surrender without a fight. Those who did try to resist learned quickly that Vorthen plasma weapons could melt through almost any defense. Open a communication channel to the human ships, Zekthar ordered. He wanted to give these foolish mammals a chance to run away. Destroying 17 tiny ships would barely be worth the energy it would cost. The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of the lead human ship. A human male in a blue uniform looked back at him. Zekthar was surprised by what he saw. The human did not look scared at all. His eyes were calm and steady, like someone who had seen many battles before. I am Admiral Zekthar of the Vorthen Empire, he said, making his voice as scary as possible. You are now in conquered territory. Turn your ships around and leave immediately, or we will blow you into tiny pieces. The human commander smiled. Slightly. This is Commander Jake Harrison of the United Earth Fleet. You are attacking innocent people. Withdraw your forces now and we might let you leave alive. Zekthar could not believe what he was hearing. This human was threatening him, with 17 small ships against 200? Either these humans were the bravest species in the galaxy, or they were completely insane. You dare threaten the Vorthan Empire? Zekthar roared. We have conquered worlds across 3 sectors. Our fleet has never known defeat. You are nothing but insects compared to our power. We'll see about that, the human said, and cut off the communication. Zekthar stared at the blank screen for a moment. No species had ever talked to him like that before. Most aliens begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. This human had actually threatened to kill him. Sir, what are your orders? Asked his tactical officer. Destroy them, Zekthar said coldly. All ships, open fire. Show these mammals what happens when they challenge the Empire. The Vorthan fleet opened fire with a coordinated barrage that lit up space like a miniature star. 200 ships fired their plasma cannons at the same time, sending streams of superheated energy toward the human vessels. It was enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Zekthar watched the display screen, expecting to see the human ships explode into clouds of debris. Instead, something impossible happened. The plasma beams hit the human ships and simply bounced off. The energy splashed against their hulls like water hitting a rock. What? Zekthar stood up from his chair. How? Are they still there? His tactical officer stared at his instruments with confusion. Sir, our weapons hit them directly, but they show almost no damage. Their ships are still at full combat strength. That's impossible. Our plasma cannons can melt through any armor. Sir, they're returning fire. Zekthar looked at the main screen and saw flashes of light coming from the human ships. But these were not plasma beams or energy weapons like civilized species used. These looked like old-fashioned projectile weapons, firing chunks of metal. At incredible speeds, primitive kinetic weapons? Zekthar laughed. What do they think they can do with those ancient ... His laughter stopped when the first human projectile hit his flagship. The entire ship shook like it had been hit by an asteroid. Alarms started going off all over the bridge. Lights flickered and sparks flew from control panels. Damage report. Zekthar shouted over the noise. Hull breach on deck 7. We've lost 3 weapon systems. How is this possible? More human projectiles slammed into Vorthan ships across the fleet. Each impact sent shockwaves through the massive vessels. Ships that had never taken serious damage in dozens of battles were suddenly reporting critical systems failures. Sir, the humans are also firing some kind of explosive projectiles, the tactical officer reported. They're moving too fast for our point defenses to stop them. Zekthar watched in horror as one of his heavy cruisers took a direct hit from what looked like a human torpedo. The explosion was so bright it hurt to look at. When the light faded, the cruiser was gone. Just gone. Not even debris was left. What kind of weapons are those? He whispered. Sir, they appear to be nuclear weapons. Nuclear? Zekthar's voice went up in pitch. They're using nuclear weapons in space combat? Are they insane? Most civilized species had stopped using nuclear weapons centuries ago. They were considered too dangerous and unpredictable for proper warfare. Only primitive savages would think of using such crude and terrifying weapons. But as Zekthar watched more of his ships take damage, he began to realize something disturbing. These humans were not primitive farmers from a garden world. Their ships were built like mobile fortresses, covered in thick armor that could shrug off plasma fire like it was nothing. Their weapons were designed to crack open planets, not just fight other ships. Sir, we're receiving reports from across the fleet, his communication officer called out. Multiple ships are requesting permission to withdraw. The humans are cutting through our formations like we're made of paper. Zekthar looked at the tactical display and felt fear creep into his heart for the first time in years. His fleet of 200 ships was being torn apart by 17 human vessels. It should have been impossible, but it was happening right in front of his eyes. All ships, he said into his communicator, trying to keep his voice steady, fall back to defensive positions. Regroup around the planet. But even as he gave the order, Zekthar knew that something had gone terribly wrong. His database had been wrong about these humans. Very, very wrong. These were not peaceful garden world dwellers. These were something much worse. These were predators from a world that had taught them to build ships like weapons and fight like demons did, and now they were angry. Lieutenant Ben Rodriguez sat at his weapons control station aboard the UES Liberty and watched the enemy plasma beams splash harmlessly against their hull. The ship barely shook when the bright energy hit them. He had seen the same weapons destroy alien ships in training videos, but against human armor they were almost useless. "Shields holding at 98%, sir," Ben reported to Commander Harrison. "Their plasma is running hot, but it's not getting through our plating." Jake nodded and looked at the tactical display. The Vorthan ships were beautiful in their own way, all smooth curves and elegant lines. They looked like they had been built by artists who cared more about appearance than function. Human ships were different. They looked like metal boxes covered in armor plates and weapon mounts. "Return fire," Jake ordered. "Show them what Earth engineering looks like." Then pressed the firing controls and felt the ship shake as the main railgun fired. The weapon used magnetic fields to throw a chunk of metal faster than anything had a right to move. The projectile was made of depleted uranium, one of the heaviest and hardest metals humans could find. The slug hit a Vorthan cruiser dead center and punched straight through both sides of the ship. The elegant alien vessel crumpled. Like paper, its smooth hull torn open by the impact. Atmosphere and debris spilled out into space as the ship began to spin helplessly. "Direct hit," Ben reported. "Enemy cruiser is dead in space." Across the human fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Captain Lisa Stone's dreadnought used Sovereign was especially impressive to watch. The massive ship carried enough weapons to level a small continent. Her main guns could fire projectiles the size of cars at speeds that made them hit like meteors. Commander Kate Morgan, the weapons officer on the Sovereign, targeted the largest Vorthan ships with careful precision. Each shot from the dreadnought's main batteries was like a hammer blow from an angry god. "Enemy flagship taking damage," reported Tactical Officer Sam Carter from the heavy cruiser UES Defiance. "Their shields are down and we're seeing hull breaches across multiple sections." The difference between human and alien technology was becoming clear. The Vorthans had built their ships for fighting other civilized species who used similar weapons and tactics. Their shields could stop energy beams and their armor could handle normal projectiles, but humans did not build normal anything. Every piece of human technology was designed to survive the hell that was Earth's environment. Solar radiation that could fry electronics. Magnetic storms that could tear apart anything not properly shielded. Micrometeorites moving fast enough to punch holes through steel. Human ships were not elegant. They were tough. Every system had backups. Every backup had backups for the backups. The armor was thick enough to stop asteroid impacts. The weapons were powerful enough to crack moons. Ben fired another railgun round and watched it tear through a Vorthan destroyer. The enemy ship simply came apart under the impact. Its delicate internal structure no match for a projectile moving at a significant fraction of light speed. "Sir, the enemy is trying to regroup around the planet," reported Navigation Officer Lucy Parker from her station. "They're pulling back to defensive positions." Jake studied the tactical display. The Vorthan fleet was in chaos. Ships that had never taken serious damage were reporting critical failures. Others were simply gone, turned into expanding clouds of debris by human nuclear torpedoes. "They're learning that pretty ships don't win ugly fights," Jake said. "All ships pursue and engage. Don't let them reorganize." The human fleet moved forward like a pack of wolves closing in on wounded prey. Human ships were fast too. They had to be fast to operate safely in Earth's dangerous orbital environment, where space junk and solar weather could kill the unwary. Captain Stone's voice came over the communication system. "UES Sovereign to all ships. We're moving to engage their command vessel. Looks like their admiral wants to make a stand near the planet. Jake could see the Vorthan flagship on his screen. It was a massive ship, easily twice the size of any human vessel. Its hull was covered in weapon mounts, and it radiated the kind of arrogant power that came from never losing a battle. "That's about to change," Jake muttered to himself. The Sovereign approached the enemy flagship like a predator stalking its prey. The Vorthan ship fired everything it had, plasma beams and particle cannons lighting up space between them. The human dreadnought absorbed the punishment without slowing down. When the Sovereign returned fire, it was with weapons that had been designed to destroy asteroids that threatened Earth. The main gun fired a projectile that massed as much as a small building. The secondary batteries launched nuclear torpedoes that could sterilize continents. Admiral Zekthar's flagship shuddered under the impact. Its elegant armor, designed to deflect energy weapons, cracked and split under the kinetic assault. Internal explosions lit up the ship from within as human weapons found critical systems. "Sir, we're getting a communication from the enemy flagship," reported Amy Foster. "Put it on screen." The Vorthan admiral appeared on the main display. His reptilian face was no longer arrogant and threatening. Now he looked confused and frightened. His ship's bridge was filled with smoke and sparks flew from damaged control panels. "What are you?" Zekthar asked, his voice shaking. "Our database said you were peaceful farmers from a garden world. You fight like demons from hell itself." Jake stepped closer to the screen. "We are from Earth, Admiral. And Earth is not a garden world. Earth is a death world that spent millions of years trying to kill us. We learned to build things tough because everything else died. Death world?" The alien's eyes went wide with recognition and terror. But our intelligence said, "Your intelligence was wrong," Jake said simply. "Earth has ice ages that last for thousands of years, volcanoes that can block out the sun, asteroid impacts that wipe out entire species, solar flares that can fry electronics from 93 million miles away. We built our technology to survive all of that." On his screen, Jake could see more. Vorthan ships falling to human weapons. The nuclear torpedoes were especially effective. Most civilized species had forgotten how terrifying atomic weapons could be. Humans had never forgotten, because Earth was the kind of world where you used every advantage you could get. "Your plasma weapons are designed to fight ships with normal armor," Jake continued. "Our armor is designed to stop cosmic rays and solar wind. Your ships are built for elegance and intimidation. Ours are built to survive in the most dangerous environment we know." Zekthar's flagship took another hit from the Sovereign and the communication cut out. When it came back, the Vorthan admiral was holding onto his command chair to keep from falling. "Please," he said, and the word came out like it hurt to say, "We surrender." "Call off your attack?" Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Ben was still at his weapon station, ready to fire again. Amy was monitoring enemy communications. Ryan was tracking the positions of all ships in the battle. They were good people, Jake knew. They had families back on Earth. They liked music and art and peaceful things. But they were also the children of a world that had tried to kill their ancestors every single day for millions of years. "All Vorthan ships will withdraw from this system immediately," Jake said. "Any ship that does not leave within 1 hour will be destroyed. Any ship that ever comes back here will be destroyed. Are we clear?" "Crystal clear," Zekthar whispered. Jake nodded to Amy, who cut the communication. Around them, the Vorthan fleet was already beginning to withdraw, their ships limping away from the battle with massive damage. "Sir," said Ben, "should we pursue them?" Jake shook his head. "Let them go. They've learned their lesson, and they'll make sure everyone else learns it too." As the last Vorthan ship disappeared into hyperspace, Jake looked down at the planet below. The fires were still burning, but the Kaleri people were safe now. The bullies had been sent home with bloody noses and hurt pride, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. Word would spread quickly through the galaxy about what had happened. Here, 17 human ships had defeated 200 Vorthan vessels. The database entry for humanity would need some serious updating. Commander Pete Williams stood on the bridge of the destroyer UES Hawk and watched the retreating Vorthan ships on his tactical screen. Most of the alien fleet was trying to reach the edge of the system where they could jump to hyperspace and escape. But Pete had different plans for them. "Sir, Admiral Zekthar said they would withdraw," said his tactical officer, Lieutenant Mike Thompson. "Shouldn't we let them go?" Pete shook his head. "The Admiral said the ships in orbit could leave. He didn't say anything about the ones that ran away during the battle. Those cowards left their friends to die while they tried to save themselves." The truth was that about 30 Vorthan ships had broken formation and fled when the human nuclear weapons started hitting their targets. Pete thought those ships needed to learn that running away from a fight did not mean you were safe from the consequences. "Navigation, set course for the fleeing enemy ships," Pete ordered. "All destroyers, follow my lead. Let's show these bullies what happens when they attack innocent people." The human destroyer squadron was made up of 6 fast ships designed for hunting down enemies who tried to escape. On Earth, destroyers had originally been built to chase down submarines and small attack craft. In space, they served a similar purpose. Navigation Officer Lucy Parker plotted an intercept course on her computer. "Sir, we can catch up to the enemy ships before they reach the hyperspace jump point. They're moving fast, but we're faster." Pete smiled. Human ships were indeed faster than most alien vessels. Earth's dangerous orbital environment had taught human engineers to build ships that could accelerate quickly to avoid space debris and solar weather events. What worked for dodging asteroids also worked for chasing down fleeing enemies. All ships, pattern delta formation, Pete broadcast to his squadron, were going hunting. The 6 destroyers spread out into a wide net as they pursued the fleeing Vorthans. Pattern delta was a formation humans had learned from watching wolves hunt in packs. You did not just chase your prey in a straight line. You herded them, cut off their escape routes, and forced them to make mistakes. "Sir, we're gaining on them fast," reported Weapons Officer Carlos Martinez. "The enemy ships are trying to reach the jump point, but they won't make it in time." Pete watched the tactical display as his ships closed in on their targets. The Vorthan vessels were sleek and beautiful, but they had been designed for intimidation and comfort, not for emergency escapes. Human destroyers were built like racing cars, all speed and maneuverability. "Lock weapons on the lead enemy ship," Pete ordered. "Fire a warning shot across their bow." A railgun projectile streaked past the front of the lead Vorthan ship, close enough to make their hull sensors scream warnings. The message was clear: stop running or the next shot would not miss. The alien ship immediately began broadcasting surrender signals, but Pete was not interested in surrender just yet. These ships had been part of an invasion fleet that was burning cities and killing innocent civilians. They deserved more than just a slap on the wrist. "All enemy ships, this is Commander Williams of the United Earth Fleet," Pete said into his communicator. "You participated in an illegal attack on a peaceful world. You will now submit to inspection and seizure of your weapon systems." The Vorthan ships had no choice but to comply. Human destroyers surrounded them like sharks circling wounded fish. Any attempt to run would result in immediate destruction. Meanwhile, back near the planet, Captain Lisa Stone was dealing with the main Vorthan fleet. Admiral Zekthara's flagship was badly damaged but still functional. The alien commander had kept his word about withdrawing, but Stone wanted to make sure he understood the full consequences of what had happened. "Admiral," she said during their communication, "before you leave this system, you're going to help us fix what you broke." Zekthar's reptilian face showed confusion. "I do not understand. We have surrendered. We are withdrawing as you demanded." "You burned Kaleri cities," Stone replied coldly. "You killed innocent people. Before you run home to tell your emperor what happened here, you're going to help us save the people you hurt." The Vorthan admiral's yellow eyes narrowed. "You expect the Vorthan Empire to provide aid to our enemies?" "I expect you to act like civilized beings instead of murderous pirates," Stone said. "Your ships have medical supplies and repair equipment. You're going to transfer that equipment to us so we can help the Kaleri people you tried to kill." Zekthar looked like he wanted to argue, but then he glanced at the human dreadnought on his screen. The UES Sovereign was still pointing enough weapons at his fleet to turn them all into scrap metal. He had no bargaining power left. "Very well," he said finally. "We will transfer medical supplies and repair equipment. But then we leave immediately." "Agreed," Stone said. "But Admiral, before you go, I want you to understand something. This battle will be reported to every species in the galaxy. Everyone will know that the mighty Vorthan Empire was defeated by 17 human ships. Your reputation as unstoppable conquerors is over." Down on the planet's surface, the Kaleri people were beginning to emerge from their hiding places. The plant-like aliens moved slowly through their damaged cities, trying to understand what had just happened. Elder Thornwhisper, the leader of the Kaleri government, stood in the ruins of their capital city and looked up at the space battle through a telescope. He could see the bright flashes of human weapons and the explosions of Vorthan ships. How is this possible? He asked his aide, a younger Kaleri named Leaf Dancer. The humans only had 17 ships. The Vorthans had hundreds. Leaf Dancer checked their communication equipment, which was finally working again after the Vorthan attacks. "Elder, I'm receiving messages from the human fleet. They say the battle is over. The Vorthans are withdrawing." Thornwhisper could hardly believe it. His people had sent out their desperate call for help, not expecting anyone to answer. When the humans had arrived, he had thought they were just going to die trying to help. The idea that they could actually win had never occurred to him. "Get me a communication link to the human commander," Thornwhisper said. "I need to thank these brave people." A few minutes later, Commander Harrison's face appeared on their screen. The human looked tired but satisfied. Behind him, Thornwhisper could see the bridge of a warship that looked nothing like the elegant vessels most species used. It was all sharp angles and thick metal, built for function over form. "Commander Harrison," Thornwhisper said, his voice filled with gratitude, "I do not know how to thank you." "Your people saved our entire civilization," Jake smiled. "We just did what anyone should do when bullies attack innocent people." "How bad is the damage down there?" "Bad, but not as bad as it could have been," Thornwhisper replied. "Many of our cities were damaged, but most of our people survived. We will rebuild." "The Vorthans are transferring medical supplies and repair equipment to us," Jake said. "We'll make sure you get everything you need to fix what they broke." As the communication ended, Thornwhisper looked around at his damaged city and felt something he had never experienced before. His people had always been peaceful, never learning to fight or defend themselves. But today they had learned that there were other species in the galaxy who would fight for them. The humans had come from far away to help people they had never met. They had risked their lives and their ships to protect the Kaleri from invaders. And they had won against impossible odds, back in space. The last of the Vorthan ships were preparing to jump to hyperspace and flee the system. Admiral Zekthar sent one final message to the human fleet. "This is not over," he said, his voice filled with barely controlled rage. "The Vorthan Empire does not forget. We will remember what happened here." Commander Harrison's reply was calm and steady. "Good. Remember it well. And make sure everyone else remembers it too. The next time someone thinks about attacking innocent people, they should remember what 17 human ships did to your fleet of 200. As the Vorthan ships disappeared into hyperspace, the human fleet began the work of helping the Kaleri rebuild their world. But Jake knew that the real impact of this battle would be felt far beyond this one system. Word would spread quickly through the galaxy. The database entry for humanity would need to be completely rewritten, and every aggressive species would have to reconsider their plans for conquest. The age of easy victories over peaceful civilizations was over. The humans had made sure of that. Dr. Ellen Hayes sat in her office aboard the research vessel UES Discovery and stared at the stack of communication requests on her desk. In the 3 days since the battle at the Kaleri homeworld, her office had received over 200 messages from alien species across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to know the same thing: what exactly were humans? Ellen was Earth's first xenobiologist, a scientist who studied alien life forms. She had spent years learning about different species and how they evolved on their home planets. But now, for the first time, aliens were studying humans. Her assistant, Dr. Mark Collins, knocked on her office door and came in carrying another stack of messages. More requests for information, Dr. Hayes. The Altarian Council wants to know if humans are a warrior species. The Centauri Federation is asking about human military capabilities. And the Galactic Trade Union wants to set up formal diplomatic relations immediately. Ellen rubbed her tired eyes. What about the Vorthans? Have we heard anything from their government? Mark checked his notes. The Vorthan Emperor issued an official statement yesterday. He said the defeat at Kaleri was caused by unexpected technological advantages and that his forces were gathering intelligence for future operations. But our sources say that's not the whole truth. What do you mean? Well, according to intercepted communications, Admiral Zekthar-S report to his government was very different. He told them that humans are a Deathworld species with weapons technology far beyond what anyone expected. The Vorthan military has apparently canceled all expansion plans until they can figure out how to deal with the human threat. Ellen was not surprised. The news of 17 human ships defeating 200 Vorthan vessels had spread through galactic communication networks faster than a solar flare. Every species was frantically updating their databases about Earth and its inhabitants. Meanwhile, back at the Kaleri homeworld, Commander Jake Harrison was walking through the rebuilt sections of the capital city. The Kaleri people had worked day and night to repair the damage from the Vorthan attack. With the medical supplies and equipment forced from the retreating enemy fleet, they had made amazing progress. Elder Thorn Whisper met Jake at the entrance to the new government building. The plant-like alien moved with the slow, graceful movements of his species, but Jake could see excitement in his large green eyes. Commander Harrison, I have wonderful news, Thorn Whisper said. We have been contacted by 17 different species offering us protection agreements and trade partnerships. Everyone wants to be friends with the people who are friends with humans, Jake smiled. That's great, Elder. Your people deserve to have allies who will stand by you. But that is not the most interesting part, Thorn Whisper continued. We have also received messages from 6 species asking us to act as intermediaries. They want to establish diplomatic contact with Earth, but they are afraid to approach humans directly. Afraid? Why would they be afraid of us? Thorn Whisper's expression became serious. Commander, the story of this battle has grown in the telling. Some species now believe that humans are an unstoppable military force that destroys entire fleets. FOR Sport. Others think you are peaceful protectors who only fight to defend the innocent. No one is quite sure which version is true. Jake thought about that as he continued his walk through the city. It was strange to think that his decision to help the Kaleri had changed how the entire galaxy viewed humanity. He had just been doing what he thought was right. Ambassador Greg Turner was having similar thoughts as he sat in his office on Earth's moon base. As humanity's chief diplomat, he was responsible for handling all the new alien contact requests. His desk was covered with formal invitations to galactic councils, trade negotiations, and defense treaties. Sir, we have another priority message, said his secretary, Lieutenant Ann Davis. This one is from the Hegemony of Free Worlds. They're offering humanity a permanent seat on the Galactic Security Council. Greg looked up in surprise. The Security Council? That's only for the 5 most powerful military forces in the galaxy. Apparently. After what happened at Kaleri, humanity qualifies, Anne replied. They're also asking if we would be interested in taking over security for 3 sectors that the Vorthans used to patrol. Greg shook his head in amazement. A week ago, most aliens had barely heard of humans. Now they were being offered a major role in galactic politics. Captain Lisa Stone was experiencing the fame personally as she attended a ceremony on the Kaleri homeworld. The plant people had built a monument to commemorate the battle, and they wanted the human commanders to be present for its unveiling. The monument was beautiful in its simplicity. A tall crystal pillar reached toward the sky with the names of all 17 human ships carved into its surface. At the base, an inscription read, "To the warriors from Earth who answered our call when no one else would." "Captain Stone," said a Kalari artist named Bloomweaver, "we would like to add something to the monument. We want to include the human word that best describes what you did for us." Lisa thought for a moment. "I think the word you want is duty. We did our duty to protect people who could not protect themselves." As the ceremony concluded, Lisa received a message on her personal communicator. It was from Admiral Sarah Brooks, the head of the United Earth Fleet. "Captain Stone, report to Earth immediately. We're forming a new deep space patrol fleet, and I want you to command it. Every species in 3 sectors is requesting human protection. We need ships and crews ready to respond to calls for help." Lisa smiled as she read the message. It seemed that humanity's reputation as protectors was already leading to new responsibilities. Back on Earth, Dr. Ellen Hayes was finally ready to respond to all the alien inquiries about human nature. She had prepared a comprehensive report that would be distributed to every species in the galaxy. "Humans," she wrote, "evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day for millions of years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, solar radiation, magnetic storms, and countless other dangers shaped our development. We learned to build things that could survive anything, and we learned to never give up when faced with impossible odds. But most importantly," her report continued, "we learned that survival is not just about being strong. It is about working together and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Humans fight not because we love war, but because we hate seeing innocent people suffer." The report spread through galactic communication networks within hours. For the first time, alien species understood what made humans different from other civilizations on dozens of worlds. Military planners studied the Battle of Kalari and tried to understand how 17 ships had defeated 200. Scientists analyzed human technology and marveled at its brutal efficiency. Diplomats debated whether humans were potential allies or dangerous rivals. But on one particular world, a small blue-green planet orbiting a yellow star, children played in schoolyards, and families gathered for dinner. Artists created beautiful paintings and musicians wrote songs that made people cry. Scientists worked to cure diseases and explore the mysteries of the universe. Commander Jake Harrison, now back on Earth for a brief leave, sat in his childhood home and watched the sunset through his kitchen window. His mother had made his favorite meal, and his father was telling stories about Jake's grandfather, who had served in Earth's Navy during the old wars. "You know," his father said, "your grandfather always told me that the best warriors are the ones who hate fighting. They only fight when they have to, and they fight to protect people who can't protect themselves." Jake nodded, thinking about the Kalari people and their rebuilt cities. "I think grandfather was right, Dad. We didn't fight the Vorthans because we wanted to fight. We fought them because someone had to." Outside his window, Earth continued its ancient rotation around the sun. The same sun that had bombarded the planet with deadly radiation for billions of years. The same planet that had thrown ice ages and volcanic winters and asteroid impacts at every living thing, but life had survived. Humans had survived. And they had learned not just to survive, but to protect others who might not be as strong or as lucky. In the galaxy beyond Earth's solar system, the age of easy conquest was over. Aggressive species would think twice before attacking peaceful worlds. And peaceful species knew that somewhere among the stars, there were people who would answer their call for help, the Kalari. Database error had become the most important mistake in galactic history. By misidentifying Earth as a garden world, they had introduced the galaxy to a species that would change everything. And in the vast darkness between the stars, 17 human ships continued their patrol, ready to answer the next call for help from anyone brave enough to ask.